Today, we're going to be taking a look at some equipment that can really help you out when completing your paperwork for federal and state submissions. It's called LiveScan. It's an electronic fingerprinting device. My name is Philip Moore. I am an LiveScan expert here at Fulcrum Biometrics. Fulcrum Biometrics is a company that's been around about 15 years and specializes in nothing but biometrics. And today, we're going to be taking a look at a product that's designed especially for firearms dealers. It's a LiveScan system that will help you take the fingerprints, process the photographs, and print out a fingerprint card that would be accepted by ATF and some of the state agencies. So you're asking yourself, why should I invest in this fancy LiveScan equipment? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is the mess that ink creates. It's inconvenient for you, it's inconvenient for your customers. Another thing is you don't really want to send your customers out of the shop to be fingerprinted down the road and then maybe come back, maybe not come back and finish the transaction. One of the biggest reasons is ink leads to a lot of rejects with the paperwork submission. So using LiveScan can eliminate almost all the rejects that you're going to get down the line by the FBI. Rejects are just a horrible outcome. It is inconvenient for your customer. It's going to add to the time that processes their paperwork. It's also going to be inconvenient to them because they're going to have to come back in and do another set of fingerprints. And it's inconvenient for you, the shop owner, because now you've got a customer that's may or may not be irritated. You're going to have to go through and get your kit out and make the mess all over again. And so using LiveScan to do fingerprinting is just a much cleaner way to do this. The final reason that you may want to use LiveScan is that it's a good return on investments, because not only can you do fingerprinting cards for firearms applications, but you can do fingerprinting cards for almost every state and federal agency out there. What we're going to process at the end of the day is a fingerprint card called an FBI FD258. And that card is generally accepted in almost every state and every federal agency for civil applicant background checks. So you can expand kind of your reach in doing fingerprinting and help with that ROI, maybe get a little bit of return on your investment besides just doing them for your firearms applications. So let's take a look at how LiveScan works. So let's take a look at how to process a set of fingerprints. The first thing that we're going to want to do is to navigate over here to where it says transaction. So we're going to click on transaction, and it's going to take us right into a demographic screen where we're going to collect the person's demographics. Everything that you see here that has a red asterisk by it is a required field. And it may look like a big long form, but it really only takes a few seconds to get through this form. So we're going to process this real quick. Oh, I made a boo-boo there. Let me go back and fix that. We don't have any aliases, and it's not a required, no maiden name is required. Date of birth is a required field, so we're going to real quick put a date of birth in there. Place of birth, requirement. Height. Weight. And brown hair, brown eyes. Don't have any scars, marks, or tattoos. Again, not a required field, so we're not going to worry about it. Race is a required field, so pick whatever is appropriate. None of these fields are required, so we're just going to tab right through them. And we're going to go to the next one, which is reason fingerprinted. There is a pull down here, but we want to do firearms. So if we just hit F, it'll bring up firearms right away. Attention is not a required field. The next required field is going to be the official name, so that's whoever's taking the fingerprints. I'm just going to stick my initials in there real quick. So now we're ready to continue on and do the fingerprinting. So we'll just press on continue. The next thing that we're going to do is take a look at the screen Right here we have a left hand, right hand, start capture. Down here it's going to tell you where we are at in the fingerprinting process. So occasionally you may run into somebody who has a finger amputated or maybe has a whole limb missing. What you can do is identify those right up front before you start doing the fingerprinting. So if you click up here, it's going to tell you that you're going to amputate the whole left hand, and you say yes. And what that does is that's going to take the left hand and left fingers out of the workflow. So it'll skip right over those, and it'll also mark them on the card as an amputated. It's called an annotation. So it's going to annotate the card with the proper information. If you made a mistake and you got the wrong hand or whatever, you just click OK, and you can bring that hand back into the workflow. If you have a particular finger that's missing, kind of the same thing here, just press on one of these little radio buttons. I'm not sure if you saw that. Right up here, this little button, just press on that and press amputation. And then if everything's okay or you've got the wrong one, you can also say OK to scan it. It'll put it back into the workflow. So for our purposes today, we're going to go through all 14 images, which is going to be 4 slaps and the 10 fingers. So when you're ready to start capturing, you click on the Start Capture. So if you look over here on the scanner, you can see that there's some LEDs that are going to light up. It's just another little hint to tell you where you're at in the process. When we get to the rolling part, this little rolling light here will come on. So when this rolling light's not on, it's going to tell you that you're doing the slaps, and when the rolling light's on, it's going to tell you that you're doing the rolling. It's kind of hard to see with this particular setup, but there are some marks here on the scanner which can help you do your alignment when you're doing your fingerprints. So right now it's going to ask us to do our left 4 fingers. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all 4 fingers, place them down on the platen. It's going to take the image. It's going to give us a score. Now you can see here that we got excellent and very good. What you're shooting for here is to get a fair or better fingerprint on all your prints. That way you're pretty much assured that you're not going to get a reject. I would really shoot for good or above, but generally fair or above will get you through the process without a reject. So if you like the way these fingers appear, you can hit accept to continue. If you're not happy, you can hit rescan, and you can keep hitting rescan until you get a good print off of that particular finger or set of fingers. So I like the way that this came up, so I'm going to go ahead and hit accept. It's going to ask me for my left hand now. So, or I'm sorry, my right hand. So I'm going to put my right hand on the scanner. Again, got a good set of prints there. Going to accept. Now we're going to do the flats of the thumbs, and there's no rolling involved here. This is just merely taking a flat image of the fingers. Accept. Accept. Bumped my camera a little bit here, get that back in the frame. Again, if you'll notice, the LEDs keep changing to let me know where I am at in the fingerprinting process. So now it's asking me to roll my left little finger over, if you'll notice, kind of over to the side a little bit, and then we're going to put it down on the glass. And then once we're comfortable with where it is, we just roll the finger over and then lift. Now there's a poor fingerprint. It does not like that fingerprint for whatever reason. So what we're going to do is say rescan that fingerprint. So we're going to rescan. We got a good this time. So the poor fingerprint probably would have resulted in a reject on down the line. But now that we've had a chance to go back and fix it, we have a good fingerprint. So I'm going to accept this. Now we're just going to go through the rest of the fingers real quick. we're just going to keep rolling away. Once you kind of get a little practice at taking fingerprints, you can get through this rather quickly. And that's one thing I'd like to say. If you're not familiar with taking fingerprints, the best thing to do is grab somebody and just practice and practice. Do 4 or 5 prints at a session and just get good at learning to do fingerprinting techniques. And there's some good information up on the FBI website about how to obtain and what to look for when you're collecting a set of prints. Just keep going through here. Every now and then we'll get a little warning up here. It's saying that I was just a little too close to the edges, but it's not a showstopper. It's just a warning. It's just you try to get it a little more centered. This doesn't give me any cause to rescan or to stop the process. So I'm just going to accept this finger and continue. So now we've gotten a complete set of prints. Again, I got that same error message again up there. So again, I'm satisfied with the print. So I'm going to say accept. And it's going to take me to the next phase, which is to collect the photograph. So you can actually hook up a camera to be able to take photographs. If you have a separate system to take your photographs, that's okay too. We can put this out of the workflow and you can use whatever you're used to for doing photographs. But we do have it built in. We have a camera that you can use, which will give you a certified photograph. It's the pixels are certified to FBI specification, and then we also have a printer that will print out the photograph to be able to attach to the paperwork. So what we're going to do is we're going to start capture here. When I'm ready to take the print, and then I'll accept. Then we go into the review stage. In the review stage, you can take a look and make sure everything is correct before you actually do the printing. For example, let's say, oh, I might have fudged my weight a little bit, so I need to go change that so I can go in here and actually put in my true weight. And save that. You can also review the fingerprints. You can zoom in, take a look, and if you know what to look for, this is really handy. And then what you can also do, if there's a particular print, you come to the screen and say, oh man, I really don't like the way that thumb appears. I think I'm going to rescan that. So you have a chance to go back in and rescan. So it's really very simple to capture a good set of prints that won't be rejected. So we're going to go up here, hit start capture. You want to do got a very good on that one, so I'm going to accept. All right, now I'm satisfied with all my fingerprints. I can go and take a closer look. Everything looks good, so I just click on continue. And that'll take us to where we actually do the printouts. So if you want to print the fingerprint card, you choose fingerprint card. You come over here and choose the printer that you wish to use, and then you click on print. And then same with the passport images. If you have your photograph printer hooked up to the system, then you just pick that you want to do the passport photo images, go pick the proper printer, and then click print, and it'll print out the passport photos for you. One last thing I'd like to show you real quick is you can go into the search function here. Once you get a collection of records, you might want to keep these on file until you've heard back that the fingerprints have been accepted. That way, if there is the chance of a reject, you don't have to start off with a whole new record. You can come in and actually edit it. And they'll generally tell you where the reject happens. So let's say that they said that one of the fingers is bad. So if you could just follow through on that again, I'll go through it a little bit more slowly. So we found out that Phil Moore, he got a reject on his paperwork. We need to redo the fingerprint card. So what we can do is just go in, instead of going through the whole process again, we can go in and edit. And then if it's a fingerprint that we have a reject on, we can bring the fingerprints up, find that particular finger, and say, let's retake that finger. So we'll rescan that finger. Okay, this time we got a good rating on that, so let's accept it. And then you just hit continue. It'll take you back out to the print screen where you can reprint that card and resubmit the paperwork. Once you get a collection of records and somebody comes in, you may have maybe several screens depending how busy you are. There's some search functions over here that'll help you quickly find a record. There's also some filters up here. Sometimes if you're doing a class, for example, and you want to put all the demographic information in ahead of time so that when you're in front of class, all you want to do is just take the fingerprints and be done with it. You can just go in, put in all the demographics, save them as partial records. Then when you're ready to continue, you can go in and just filter the partial records and then come in and finish putting in the information, the fingerprints, the photographs, whatever else needs to be done. That's pretty much it. That's going to guarantee pretty much you're going to have good fingerprints that are not going to be rejected by the FBI. So we're going to take a look at some of the equipment that makes up this system. Let's take a look at all the components that make up our firearms dealer's LiveScan system. First off is the star of the show, which is the green bit DactyScan 84C scanner. It takes excellent fingerprints, which you saw during the demo, and it's a very resilient scanner. It can stand up to the rigors of going on the road or standing in a retail environment. Same goes for the Dell laptop that we use. It is a commercial grade laptop. Again, it's very resilient, can stand up to the rigors of a retail environment or to a situation where you're bringing it on the road. Also, we have a signature pad. If you want to add an electronic signature to your cards, we use a Scriptel signature pad. And then we also have a passport photo printer. All this can work right into your workflow, as you saw. So you can just zoom right through, get the fingerprints, get the demographics, get the signature, and the passport photo, all going through the workflow. And finally, at the end of it, you want to print out a fingerprint card. That's what the Lexmark 421 does. It is an FBI certified printer, and it is certified with our equipment. And what that buys you is less rejects. It's a matched system, and it's been looked at and approved by the FBI, so that when you send fingerprint cards in printed in the system, you can rest assured that you're not going to have any rejects. So just to kind of recap, some of the good reasons to have this system in your shop is, number one, the mess. It's going to get rid of that inky mess if you're currently doing ink. If you're currently sending people away to get fingerprinted to other locations, sometimes you may find they don't come back. Other times this deal goes south. When you can keep them in the shop and finish the deal all in one setting, it is a valuable tool to be able to help you finish your sales. The last thing that you can do is use this maybe to do a little more return on investment. Anybody who needs a fingerprint card printed, an FBI standard fingerprint card, you can print fingerprint cards for them. They can walk out of there with a card and attach that to their applications or take them to where they need them for fingerprinting. And it is accepted by almost every federal agency and almost every state agency out there. So please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about how LiveScan can fit into your business.